Okay.
All righty. Welcome to the Bicycle Facility Inventory System soft release. This presentation will be recorded and provided in the future on the IDOT website. My name is Wendy Shepard. I'm the Mapping and Information Systems Unit Chief at the Illinois Department of Transportation. And with me today is Christy Russell, which she is the project manager from CDM Smith. She will also be presenting with me. We are very excited for today to finally be here and excited that you are all here to participate with us. Next slide. In this presentation, we are going to discuss what is the bicycle facility inventory system. What is this? What are we doing with it? Why are we doing it? What did we start with? Where are we at now? And how can you participate? On the next slide, we're going to do a quick little poll here, and I think it's going to pop up. There we go. If you wouldn't mind answering this question, do you have a bike ped coordinator? We're just trying to get a feel for how many people that are on the call actually have someone designated for this task.
Wendy, it looks like about 19 people have participated. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and so we can see the results.
All righty. So it's not quite, it's almost half-half that do have the bike ped coordinator position, and some do not. So that's a good kind of a good measure for us to have an idea who we're reaching out to and the people that are participating if they have someone designated to do that responsibility. All righty, next slide. While the vast majority of the bicycle facilities in Illinois are owned by other agencies, particularly cities and counties, IDOT owns a few bicycle facilities. The department strives to provide helpful information to promote safety for those who utilize these facilities for recreation and as an alternative form of transportation. Therefore, we have designated the Bicycle Facility Inventory System to be an available resource, allowing local agencies to input data on bike facilities representative of their jurisdiction. IDOT wanted to develop a bicycle inventory system that contains information on existing bike lanes, paths, trails throughout the state of Illinois for planning purposes, containing information describing location, ownership, and specific attributes associated with these facilities. The Bicycle Facility Inventory System is an interactive map with a data layer that depicts a statewide inventory bicycle facilities of existing features and will include proposed, planned, program, construction, under construction, and inactive or decommissioned facilities. Next slide. So why are we doing this? As mentioned on the previous slide, bicycle facility data is housed locally with municipalities, townships, counties, etc. Because of this, the data is not centralized in one location for IDOT to include bicycle accommodations in considerations in statewide planning or project level prioritization. The data included in the Bicycle Facility Inventory System mapping tool will provide many benefits for state and local agencies, such as, if you'll go to the next slide, assisting in planning transportation projects, selecting design treatments, and identify funding opportunities, providing a definitive source of bicycle data for the public and professionals alike to guide the prioritization of future bike facility projects, providing a central location for bike count data, which could be linked to crash data to pinpoint high crash and high usage points for IDOT and partners to address, data used to for traffic planning, safety analysis, long-range planning, funding priorities, and mapping and routing. We can also showcase these trails on the from the bicycle facility inventory system on the Illinois bike maps. We can allow for consistent naming conventions and definitions, provide improved statewide planning and programming processes, and be compatible with the FHWA National Bikeway Network data portal. Next slide. So how are we planning on doing this? I think at this point right here with this slide, we really want to drive home the point that we need your help. We need you to participate. We need the local agencies to provide their information and make sure that the data that we have currently is accurate. It pretty much is 3 easy steps. You just have to obtain access to the bicycle facility inventory system. You'll request access, and then you'll get provided a link. And then, which is right there, you would email the idot.bikeped@illinois.gov, which is right to the right of your bicycle on the lower part of the slide there. You would request access. We'll provide a link, and then you will be able to click on the link, and it will pop up the bicycle facility website. We'll call it a portal, and then you'll be able to review your data at that location. You'll be able to select features and your bike trails, your bike paths, your bikeways, confirm the information. You can look at the accuracy of the geometry, and you can populate any information that you need to, or correct the geometry if need be. So you're able to add, update, and maintain your bicycle facility data. All right, so where did we start? Oh my gosh, we started with a collection in 2019. It was the bicycle facility inventory. We started out getting a collection of data from all over the state. This data came in many formats. They came in PDF format. The data came in TIFFs. They were just images. We had shape files. We had file geodatabases. We had paper copies. There were DGNs. So there was nothing that was consistent by any means. There was no schema that was consistent. And what I mean by schema is that attribute information, that characteristic information describing these locations. So as an example, like for a trail name, that might be one column of information on somebody's data, but in somebody else's data, it might be just called name. So we'd have multiple fields of information that really needed to be consolidated into just a few columns. Of the 22,000 features, we had 5,000 that were duplicate. We removed those duplicates, so we didn't have all of that extra data. That left us with just a little less than 17,000 records. And of the 17,000, 6,900 were active or existing features. We ended up removing all the others for the fact that we couldn't guarantee that they ended up being built or the money was there for funding purposes. So we wanted to go with the existing. We were pretty sure that they were still in use, and we just needed to realign this data and to maybe consolidate and clean up the schema, the attribute data. as you can see here that on the screen, there was 2 pop-up images that popped up. We had data that was not aligned, which is the upper right there. You can see that that data was not aligned correctly, or was not aligned. And then poor digitizing down here on the bottom, you can see that that trail still happens to be in the middle of the pond. Not a good thing to ride a bike in the middle of the pond. So this is the kind of thing that we had to work with. We had to get some of this data cleaned up, and that was the beginning of this process. All right, so as I was mentioning the schema, you can see that we ended up starting with 124 fields, and we were able to consolidate that data down to 33 fields. So it cleaned it up, and we were able to get a standard naming convention. We also used the FHWA standards from the National Bikeway Network, which there's a link there on the screen, and I think they were going to provide that in the chat also, so that you would be able to click on that and maybe do a little bit more digging if you're not familiar with what the standards are. So we're able to clean that up. All right, so where are we now? With that existing data that we had from 2014, we were able to review the data, realign it, and then come up with that standard schema. We're right now kind of in the final testing phases of the bicycle facility inventory system. This portal is where the data can be viewed and where the attribute data can be modified or updated. The geometry can be updated, and we can also add new bicycle facilities. But we do need your help to complete this data set, and this will help all of us plan better. The official release of the project will be April 5th, and we will go live at that date. Okay. So the first phase, I think I'm sorry. Okay, the link. We go live on April the 5th, live link. There is the link, and I think that was provided in our chat, that you can register for the webinar that happens on April the 5th, and please share with others, maybe your counterparts that are in other counties or municipalities that might be interested. All right, so where are we now? This is a continuing. The first phase is really the coordination of this project. This is our first really outreach. We started out with the 2014 bike plan and the collection of that data. And we ended up, as I mentioned just a few slides ago, is that we kind of filtered everything out and we just went with existing features from that collection, and that they have been realigned to aerial photography. And we also consolidated and cleaned up that attribute information. We are needing your help to check that attribute information. So those characteristics about these locations, we need them cleaned up and maybe populate some of that missing information that we're missing. And to do this, we just want to make sure that all you have to do is just request access, and we'll get that to you, and you'll be able to use the new application. Here, I think we were just trying this slide, and Christy, you pop in if I'm incorrect on this one. The next phase of the coordination for this project, I think we were just kind of talking about doing outreach and then the releasing of the project, which we kind of just discussed on the previous slide. So I think this is a little bit duplicate. But when we're talking about the active and existing proposed plan, programs, construction, and active commissions is what we're talking about, the facility types themselves. I think we wanted to kind of give a better understanding of what we were looking for these types of categories. Would be the plan proposed. In the proposed stage of planning, funding is not programmed. versus programmed, the state federal funds and that new facilities are programmed in a TIP, STIP, and or in capital improvement plan. But if we're talking about a facility that exists, then it really should be part of the existing category. We don't want to include that in the programs. So if there's like enhancements or something like that, it would need to be in the existing. Okay, and then this should be only the facilities that have yet to be developed. That should be in the programs. And then of course, construction is construction. And then inactive, decommissioned would be where the bicycle facilities have been decommissioned and are no longer in use. I think that, Chrissy, did that cover it?
Yes, and I think right now we only have the active systems in there. And so, you know, we think we got pared down to those. So there's probably ones that are being proposed and planned and programmed and under construction since this inventory was developed. And those are the ones that you guys should look for to add to the inventory as you're kind of going through to the ones that have anything has happened on since 2014. So, you know, if they were proposed back in 2014, we didn't feel it was a good assumption to put them in, that they were still, you know, being proposed planned. So this is kind of your opportunity to add those current ones back in again.
All right, for here, we're going to go ahead and take and stop and pause for a second. I just wanted to kind of make sure that we covered what it is, why, what we started with, where we are now, and how you could participate. Is there any questions?
Wendy, there are no questions right now in the chat box, but I'd invite any participants who have a question who may like to speak aloud to go ahead and unmute and ask.
Can I ask a question? This is Mike Z from the Southern Illinois MPO.
Yeah, hey Mike, go ahead.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for doing this for people that like to bike or maybe don't have the opportunity to drive an automobile and their primary source of transportation is riding a bicycle. So I greatly appreciate y'all making forth this effort. I want to let you know too that we are in the process of kicking off our very own evaluation of bicycle facilities within the Simcoe region. The city of Carbondale and the city of Marion have recently completed bicycle plans, and we will close on Friday of this coming Friday for RFQ for bicycle plans for the city of Mount Vernon and the city of Benton. So growing outside the Southern Illinois MPO boundaries to encompass the 5-county region of Greater Egypt. What we have found based upon some of the ArcGIS files that were submitted to us when we started compiling the bicycle map in-house is that as you so well demonstrated in some of the raw data that in your slides, that bike facilities were kind of jagged or going across bodies of water or weren't properly aligned to the bike lanes or the bikeable shoulders of our roadways. So we are in-house or in the process of cleaning up that data before we want to go public with it to our residents and visitors in the area. And I'm just wondering to know if it's okay if we continue to work on our data to get it cleaned up before we send it to y'all for incorporating into the statewide inventory. Thank you.
Mike, I think that would be fine. It would be great if we could work together. And I'm very curious to find out, are you using the NBN as standards for your schema?
I have asked that we use the Federal Highway Administration's definitions of what a protected bike facility is, a shared bike facility is. So I'm wanting to use a strong hierarchy that places the definitions at the top. I'm a big fan of NACDO and some of the innovative practices that they're using for especially for separated bike lanes and protected bike lanes. But as it is now, we are relying upon FHWAs. I'm looking for the document, but small town and rural multimodal networks was one of the resources we're using. And then like how to choose a bike facility, an FHWA document. So does that answer your question?
No, but that's okay. You gave me a lot more information. And what I was looking for is like the standard table format. So that might be something we could discuss maybe offline, maybe in another meeting, because I would like to collaborate and, you know, try to use standard fields if we possibly can.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other questions or comments?
Opinion put into the chat box. I think that the crowdsourcing approach is a good way to handle such a massive data set. Thank you for allowing us to help improve the inventory.
Thank you.
Are there any other folks that would like to unmute and ask a question? Hearing none, I think we can go ahead and keep going with the presentation.
Alrighty, I think now Christy is going to discuss the interface and provide a demo of the bicycle facility inventory system.
All right, thank you, everyone. So I'm going to run through some slides here and talk a little bit at a high level about how the bicycle facility inventory system works. And then I'm going to get into the tool and kind of do a little bit of a demonstration to show you all how it's going to work. So this is kind of the landing page, and this is all a browser-based tool. So you'll just go, you know, you'll use your browser to go to the link that Wendy provides for all of the registered, you know, users of the system. You'll go to that link and you will be presented with this interface that you're seeing here. And so you can search up in the upper left-hand corner for a facility. You can search by name, owner, street, facility type. And if you're in a particular location, you can actually tell it to look at your current location. There is the ability to search even for a county. So if you did, you know, Cook County, you could do that. You could search for, you know, the Tunnel Hill Trail. You could search for whatever you needed to. And if there's more than one result, those will be listed here. If there's only one facility that meets your search criteria, it'll display the details of that search criteria. You kind of have we're going to have a help document here and a data dictionary to show everyone, you know, the fields and what each of them mean. You have your XY coordinates here that will kind of update as you move around. You can even copy and paste them into another window. And then this is kind of the edit feature. And you notice, you know, this is available even when you're not logged into the system to submit edits to submit edits either to the geometry or the attributes of a facility or both. So there is this identify functionality. As you're moving and panning around the map, you can at any time click on a facility. And if you're pretty zoomed in and there's not many facilities around, it may just show you one. But if there's more than one where you click, it will actually page them. So there's actually 9 facilities in a very small radius around here. And so when I clicked on the facility, and it will highlight the one that I'm on right now, that there's actually 9 in this immediate area right here, and it will let you page through each facility using this arrow button. The next page goes into the search in the tool. So even while you're looking at a specific details of a facility, you can click on it, you can view the details, you can search for another facility, you can go back to your search results. But this is kind of the look and feel of it after you've selected one of those 9 facilities and clicked on it. You can see all of the details and attributes. And you can see here if some of the values aren't provided, they're just listed there as blank. But this is where we can use you all's help in getting some of this information filled in. You can also mark up a map. And so if you want to, add some kind of labeling to the map, you can either drop points on the map and you can label those points. You can draw lines on the map. You can draw polygons on the map, but you can draw all kinds of things on the map, associate text to them, and then be able to actually capture that map with some of that markup on it. Your coordinates for your current location are listed down here. There is the ability to copy those coordinates if you're wanting to know the exact lat and long of a location. You can control which layers are visible using this layers visibility option here. And when you go to actually edit, so if you click on this edit button right here, this screen over here will change. You can either select a facility to edit, or you can create a new facility and then you pick the type of facility that you want to create. They are color coded on the map, and I'll show you all the legend when we get in there to do the demo. So when you add a new facility, you click on the map to start drawing. So we said we wanted a new one. We picked our type, and now we start drawing on the map. So you literally can click on the map and start to draw your line. And when you get to the end of the line, a double click ends the line creation. And it does tell you over here, after you start drawing, that you need a double click to finish your line as a helpful hint along the way. All right. So when you go to either add a new bicycle facility or even to edit, you're not going to be able to do so until you make sure that you provide all of the mandatory requirements. And so, one of the main mandatory requirements is what is the email of the owner of this facility, and what is your email? They can be the same if that is one and the same person. But these are required. And so when you add a new bicycle facility, you're going to fill out all the attributes, draw the geometry, click the create button to create this new facility, and that will be submitted to IDOT for review. They are collecting your email when you edit or add anything so that we can notify you via email once IDOT has reviewed your submission and either accepted or rejected it. Most of the time, it is my understanding that you guys will have the most up-to-date information, but we wanted to have some kind of checks and balances to make sure that the information went through some kind of a review before it was added to the inventory. So these email addresses will make sure you get a notification that your submission was accepted or rejected, and any comments that they enter about that. You can also edit an existing facility. So on the couple screens previous here, when you go to edit, you could select a feature. So if we select a feature here for editing, we click on it, and now these dots start to show up. In this case, perhaps this is the part that's poorly digitized, and that needs to be, you can grab these points and drag them onto the line of the facility. and make that update. You can also at the same time change or add to any attribute values that are over here as well. And this update button will enable once you have entered all of the mandatory values. If you try to move away from this screen without saving, it's going to ask you to either continue editing or discard your changes. So, you know, you need to save your changes and that will submit them. Here again is where you have to enter these required values. See how the update button is kind of disabled. It's light blue, kind of in a disabled state. That's because not all of the required values have been input. As soon as the required values have been input, that update button will enable and you can submit your changes. So now that those email addresses have been entered, the update button is available and the user can click it to submit updated information for an already existing facility. The kind of bicycle facilities that we're including in the system are on-street and off-street trails. On-street includes bike lanes, protected bike lanes, signed routes, and off-street is trails and shared use paths that are paved and unpaved. All right, now we're going to do a bit of a live demo to kind of walk through the site. This is a test system right now. We don't have the final one deployed yet to production. That's our April 5th target date that we're working towards, but we're kind of getting you guys in early here so you can help contribute to the actual data and have an opportunity to, you know, improve upon it as you're able before it actually officially goes live on April 5th. So let me switch over here and go to the tool itself. So I refreshed this. It's just going to a website and we'll give you the link for the production one once that is up and available. When you first go to the site, you'll get a disclaimer. The user can click accept to accept the disclaimer, and then they'll be in the system and ready to use it. So again, you open this entry page. This is our home page. We just use a browser like Chrome or Firefox or something like that to open the tool. Once we're here, you can start to use the tool. So as I mentioned, you can use your current location if you're near the actual facilities, or you can just search by name, owner, street, facility type, as you please. So for instance, if I type in Tunnel Hill, and it'll show me a list of trails. There's actually several named, and it's just multiple pieces of this same trail. You can search by addresses or places that include the words Tunnel Hill. Or you can just search for Tunnel Hill and say go, and it will give you the results. So there's 59 facilities that include the words Tunnel Hill, either in the name, the owner, the street, or the facility type, if we had one called that. So this is the results. You can click on any of these to see the detail. And you'll see that when I go to the detail, it not only shows you all of the attributes of this facility, but it highlights it on the map. So you can see which facility and kind of like zooms and centers the map to this facility. And at this point, say, I could also search by an owner, Village of Orland Park. And there's 3 results. So, and you can see the owner in this case is Village of Orland Park. So it's not just searching the name, it is searching some of those other fields that I listed. You could also search for Cook County. All right, so there's how you can view, find, and you can even use the map. I guess I didn't show a good example there, that you can actually find other facilities on the map, and if you click on them, it will select them and show you the details for those facilities. And it kind of zooms to, see how it zooms to the facility as you select it. It'll kind of center and make sure the whole map displays the entire length of the facility. So the bigger the facility, the kind of more zoomed are you out to get that full length of the facility on the map, but it kind of centers it on it and shows you these. You can export this data for this particular facility using this button, and it will, you get a disclaimer, and then it'll download a file for you. And it's just a spreadsheet of these values so that you could use it offline if you need it. You can copy your XY coordinates. That point is that location, and then I could copy it and paste it in another application or somewhere else. And I can also create a new or edit an existing facility. So editing is done by clicking this edit button here. You'll be presented with the dialog that I showed you in the PowerPoint, where we either select an existing facility or we create a new facility, and you just pick the type. So first we'll go through and create a new facility. So say we're making a new shared use path. Click on the map to start drawing. So I'm just going to say that this facility runs from here. And if we wanted to add, you know, some turns to it, see how you can add, and then I could change directions. But as soon as I double click, that's my new facility. I'm going to submit. So now I can go over here and enter a name for my facility. What type it is already defaulted based on our previous selection. What is its current status? Is this something more being planned or proposed, or is it already programmed? Have an opportunity to enter a comment. We have details about the facility, so material that the path is made of, the width of the path, you know, the buffer width in feet, and then the separator type, shoulder type. And if they have a pick list, you can see when that has a little caret here to indicate fields that have a pick list. And then the other fields are just type in fields. So the year that it was installed, maybe this one was made in 2016. But each one of these subcategories has fields that you can fill out about the facility. And we just kind of have them categorized to, you know, make the presentation a little bit more consumable by just categorizing some of these values, attributes into groupings. But the important one is that this create button will not enable until I type in the email address of the person who owns the facility and my email address, which is just used for notifications to tell you that when your facility was accepted into the system. So now I've clicked create, and it's going to create this facility. That is going to go to IDOT for review. IDOT will review the facility, and if it is approved, it will be integrated into the data set. So I submitted this new facility. If I go search the inventory for this facility, it is not going to show up because it's not been approved. It's just been submitted. So I just want to make sure everybody understands it's not an immediate addition or edit of the system just because there is that step in place for review and approval of the data. So this indicates that the new facility that I created has been created. Here's some details, high-level details about the one I just submitted, and I can just click accept. Now, if I want to edit an existing feature, I can click select. I can zoom out and find an existing facility here. I can edit it, change a couple values. And again, we need to have the emails filled in for the owner and the person submitting it, so you can be notified when your system has been accepted or updated. Now that I've entered those email addresses, they're no longer red, and I can click the update button. And the user will get a very similar dialog here that indicates that this has been submitted for approval, this modification. And then you can click accept. The only thing I don't think I covered was this markup, that you can draw on the map and do some markups on the map. If you want to add a point, you can add a point. You can also add a point with text. And that will show up on the map. You can add lines to the map. You can draw polygons on the map. And double click completes that as well. And then once you have done what you need to do, or you would like to remove any of this, you can either select them individually. So maybe this is the only one I wanted to remove. Or I could select a group of features using this grab feature. Now it selected both my line and my polygon, and I could delete just the selected ones. And you actually can delete them all if you want. So if I put a couple lines on here and then I draw a polygon on here as well. You can delete them all, so then all your markups go away. All right. I think that pretty much covers the majority of the functionality that we were hoping to cover with you all. So what questions do you guys have at this time?
Christy, thanks so much for that really comprehensive overview of the tool. Right now, I don't see any questions in the chat box, but I'll open up the floor for anybody who would like to unmute.
No questions?
Quiet group today, Christy.
I know. They're letting me off the hook. I was expecting all kinds of tough questions. You guys are letting me off the hook.
Yeah. Crystal Williams just put into the chat box, is submittal only through the application?
Wendy, I think that is the intent, correct?
Yes, that is the intent, is that we do want everyone to use the application and maintain the data. But if you've got a batch set of data that you're wanting to add, we can handle that on a case-by-case basis. I'm trying to be very selective of my wording here, but we'll work with you. Especially, I'm not asking for double work. I know how everybody is taxed for employees and trying, everybody's overworked. I totally understand that. And I don't want that to be the case, but we will definitely work with you on a case-by-case basis. Did that kind of answer it, Crystal? Okay, good. Good deal.
Thanks,
Is there
Wendy.
some kind of a tool?
Yep.
Go ahead, I'm
Steve
sorry.
C. just put into the chat box, are there any sort of plans for an import tool?
I think we ended up kind of squashing that for now. And the reason why is because if everybody has their own format of attributes, it would be almost a nightmare to try to line up the data so that we'd be able to import that data in. But that is something, down the road that we could possibly add if we end up having a lot of people that are interested, and if we could figure out how to consume other people's data and just display it. But then we still are going to have some kind of a mechanism to merge that all together to get it up to FHWA when they start requiring us to provide that information.
Thanks, Wendy. Agata put into the chat box, are you planning to include planned facilities in the phase 2?
As far as we kind of call this current phase that we're looking at just existing, because we don't want to overwhelm everybody. But if you are willing to put in the planned, programmed construction, absolutely, please put the capabilities there. You can do all of it right now. We're just trying to get, again, trying to get a little bit and trying to work with everybody and try to get that base data at least taken care of first. And then we come back to you later and say, okay, come on, we're ready to start taking in, more data when you have time. But absolutely.
Good question. And then Juan put into the chat box, can the data be downloaded to be used in programs such as ArcGIS?
Well, one for you, it would be because that data would be internal to IDOT, and you would be able to consume that data layer. For external, we definitely, I believe, we definitely, listen to me. The plan, I believe, is to be able to share this with everybody. What that mechanism is right this minute, I'm not quite sure. I think the big thing is we want to get this data cleaned up before we move to that next step. But we could possibly make it available through IDOT's shared data. I think there's a data portal that we make this data or make GIS data available for download.
Good question.
But yes, great questions, and thank you very much for asking them.
At this time, there aren't any other questions, but would anybody like to unmute? Okay, I think we're good to move on. Another quick poll. I'll go ahead and launch this. This one is, do you have any data that you could contribute to the system? Yes, no, or it's complicated. Okay, it looks like we have a little lull in those who are putting in their answers to the poll. So I'm going to go ahead and end it and share the results.
That's great. It looks like a lot of people seem to be willing to participate, and they have data that they would be willing to share with us. That is fantastic. For the folks that are no, definitely if it's something that maybe that you don't want to share the data or can't share the data, if there's something we can maybe talk about, absolutely reach out to me. I would be happy to have some dialogue on this topic. And it's complicated. I totally get that. Completely.
And I'm sure you'd be happy to have dialogue with them too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If there's something we can do, we definitely want to be able to work together on this.
Absolutely. I think we have one more polling question, which I will launch right now. So this is, are you familiar with the FHWA National Bikeway Network Data Portal? Okay, we've kind of hit that lull. I'm going to end the poll and share the results. A lot of no's.
Sorry, I was shaking my head. I'm surprised. Shaking it, yes, that means that we definitely need to get some communication out there with folks so that you know what's coming down the road, and why this collaboration is so important to be able to provide that data back up to FHWA.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for participating in the polls. I'll stop sharing so that we can continue on.
I don't know, Christy, were you going to do this one or me?
I was going to have you do it if that's okay.
Oh, okay, absolutely. So again, my name is Wendy Shepard, and I'm sure I will have some activity in the system, but I wanted to introduce the Bicycle Facility Inventory System Administrator. It is Melanie Dennison. Melanie will be the one that if you have problems with the system, or if you want access, you go to that dot.bikeped@illinois.gov email, and you send an email. If you would put in the subject line, if you put something like BFIS dash access or something like that, Melanie will know immediately that this is your request for getting access to the Bicycle Facility Inventory System. She's the one that you're going to be working with. If you submit some updates, Melanie will be the one that will be reviewing them and vetting them. The information that is being sent in to her, she's going, of course, she's not going to know all of your facility information, but she's just making sure that nobody puts garbage in there, or that no foul words are used or anything like that. So she'll vet that information, and once she accepts it, you'll be notified that your facility was changes, updates, news, you'll be notified via an email. And Melanie will be the one, the contact to do that. All right. Well, I would like to thank you very much for participating in our webinar. I hope this kind of gets you interested, and you see the potential and the need for this. My contact information is on the slide, and you could always email dot.bikeped@illinois.gov also. Either way, you can reach me by phone. And then you've got Christy's email information there also. Please sign up for the April 5th, 2023 webinar. This is going to be our official launch. And I think there's going to be a link added to our chat so that you'll have that. You can click on it now, get that business taken care of, and lock in your calendar so that you don't miss that date. But please, we will be sending out probably in the next 2 weeks a notification letting you know, hey, that we are in production, we're live, we're technically live, but not the official launch, so that you can kind of start going out there and looking at your data and making updates whenever you possibly can. We would like to have some reviewing done before we actually hit April 5th, just to make sure the system is working the way we expect, and if there's any modifications that need to be made, that we can make slight changes if need be before April 5th. All right. Christy, anything else to add?
No, ma'am. I think you covered it.
All right. All right. Well, fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for participating. We appreciate it. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.